Hello everyone and welcome to the Country Craft Creations. Remember the Time Hop. My name is Jen and I am, as some of you may already know, a designer for Country Craft Creations. And this hop that we're doing, all of us designers have gotten together to do this hop for you with different projects, all using Tamara's exclusive Remember the Times calendar collection. And what I have created is a grouping of 12 folios, one for each month of the year. And I have made these so that they can hold photos, memories, and each one of them has a little card on the inside which holds a memory. And I'll just show you the papers really quick. I'm sure you already have them if you're following along with this hop. So each one of the papers for each month comes with these cut aparts, and they are all similar as I show you. This one is January, and then here we have February and March and so on. And what I have done is I sat down and I cut apart a whole one of these. Now, some of you may have a scan and cut machine or another device that you can cut these out. I did not, so I fussy cut everything. And a tip for you that I did to make it a little simpler and make it so that I did not lose track of my pieces is I took envelopes from my stash and I labeled them with a month, and then each page that I fussy cut like this, I put those in one of these envelopes. That way I didn't get them all mixed up, and then as I was doing my folios for each month, I could just pull this out. And it really made things go a little faster, because as you can imagine, doing something that involves 12 of the same thing takes a little bit of time. So anyways, that is our papers, and I will show you. Let me set these aside. I'm going to create the November and December folio with you rather than doing all 12, but I will show you a quick peek at the ones that are completed, and then I will show you the box that I created to put them in. So each one of these folios is 5 by 7, and I have completed, like I said, all except for the November and December, because I'm going to create those with you. So here we have January's, just like I said, 5 by 7. So each one of the folios, I have created a belly band to go over it. And the belly band was simply cut a 2-inch strip, leaving it 12 inches long, and then I just cut it off the ends of each one of the papers that had a pattern. So these measure 2 inches by 12, and then they were fit over the folio, which I will show you with November's and December's. I've utilized almost every cut apart for each one of the months in different ways, and I've put them embellished one of the border strips here, and then I have the circles and one of the little tickets. The calendar is on the front, and as you can see when you open this, this was pretty much my inspiration for creating this idea, was this cute little note card that comes with each one of the months. And it's just a little spot where you could log a memory. They all have little sayings on them. This one says, "Trust in the magic of new beginnings." And then I put a little ticket on the inside. This is just a little flip out. This is a photo mount. Also with each one of the collections, once everything was cut out for the main pieces that I needed, being my calendar, all of my fussy cuts, and the 2 papers that line the insides of the folio, I chose an image to fussy cut from each paper. So this one is the little girl with her little dog, and then I just used that little cut apart there, glued it at the top to make the little tuck spot for that. And then, like I said, this is 5 by 7. So when this is cut from your colored paper, the folio base is 6 7/8 by 12. And I say that it looks like a 5 by 7, but in retrospect, it is 6 7/8. And the reason for that is I cut it to fit the calendar piece the best. And you can do a full 7 inches if you like. You'll just have a little bit more of your background folio color showing. So on the inside, again, I have this little spot. So when you cut this into your 6 7/8 or 7, whichever you're doing, by 12, it's scored at 5 and scored at 10. And then this last little 2 inches is going to come up and we're going to add some gussets here, which is going to make this pocket that holds the other items in here. And what I've done is I've just simply taken the same color. I've gone back and used all of my scraps from here, and I've put one of the little cards on there. I've taken some artisan craft cardstock, and these photo mounts for each one. So you will need 12. Measure 4.5 by 6. This is the little border strip that is across the top of the cut apart sheet. And I've taken the little tags, and you can back these if you like. I thought they were cute just to leave them in there. And then if you're journaling or something, then you can attach them with a paper clip. These are just little tiny paper clips from Tim Holtz Ideology. And there are many different ones on the market for that. So you can use whatever you like. And like I said, I will be adding gussets. I did that with these pockets so that they had a little more room. And that way, if you want to add more stuff, you can. So I added the rest of the little strip. This little strip along here is the strip at the very top of the paper collection cut apart sheet. And it works out to where a piece of it cut to fit the bottom of my journaling card leaves just enough with about 1 inch left to fit the very back. And on some of them I did that. Others I used other border pieces from the set. And then, like I said, our little belly band just fits right over. And I will show you the covers of all these, and then there'll be pictures of the insides of how I did the rest of them. So we have January's, February's with the adorable purple and red. And I will also tell you that January, I used My Colors cardstock in Firecracker. In the February, I have used My Colors Deep Purple for my base. March, I used Artisan cardstock in the darker green. I think it's just called green on the site. April, I used the My Colors Spanish Moss. For the May, I used the Artisan cardstock in Denim Blue. It was just about the same color as the strip on there, which I really liked. Again, I used My Colors Spanish Moss for the June. I just love these roses. They're so pretty. For July, I used Artisan Navy cardstock. For the August, I used My Colors Tropical Splash. And then for September, again, this is the My Colors Deep Purple. And the Octobers, I have used the Black Artisan Craft cardstock. Or excuse me, not craft, Black Artisan cardstock. The November and December we're going to do. November uses Artisan cardstock in Burgundy. And then the December uses the My Colors Red Cherry cardstock. So I'm going to set all of these aside, except for one, so that I can show you along what I'm doing. And we are going to dive into creating Novembers. I thought it would be fun to do November and Decembers with you since, you know, it's getting close to both of those holiday seasons for November and December, being Thanksgiving and Christmas. So I have my little envelope with all of my cut aparts, my long strip from the top of the cut apart sheet. I have some gussets here that I made for my pocket, and my November calendar, and then all of my pieces, which I will let you know all of the measurements for that. So this is all cut previously to my video. So for the craft cardstock piece that will make the photo mount on the inside, this is going to measure 4.5 by 6. And then I have used some different cardstocks from my stash that blend really well with the paper. So I can't really tell you exactly what they are because I don't know. They were in my stash. However, I can tell you I buy most of my paper from Hobby Lobby, if that helps. But I didn't want them all to be the same. So I just picked a coordinating color. As you can see, this jade coordinates really well with the Artisan Burgundy. And I didn't want this inside one to be the exact same because we do have a photo mount already that is going to be the Artisan Burgundy. So that being said, the cover for that is 4 3/8 by 5 7/8. And I'm just going to set that aside now that you know the measurements. The calendar, when it's cut down, does measure out to be 4 7/8 by 6 3/4. And that's why I did the 6 7/8. But you could go 7. This is my little guy. I chose little guy riding the turkey for my cut apart fussy cut piece. This will be our belly band. This was cut from the bottom of this sheet, and it is 2 inches by 12. The inside pieces that will be going inside, I have cut that green, and then I've cut this. And throughout my folios, I've used this paper from each one of the months, which has the wording. Some of them have musical scores on them as well. And these are going to measure to be 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. So you'll have 2 of those, and I did one in more of a solid, and then I did this one here. For the November with the burgundy, if you're using the same color, we will have a piece that measures 3 3/4 by 4 1/4, and that is our tip out. Another piece that measures 4 by 5 1/2, and this will be the photo mount that goes on the left side. And then, of course, your base, which is going to measure 6 7/8 by 12. So let's get started here. For the 6 7/8 by 12 piece, we will start there. This is our base. We're going to score this at 5. And then we're going to score it again at 10. And then we just want to fold those lines down, those score lines, gently, and then we will burnish them. And if it doesn't line up, you can kind of move it around a little. Sometimes things get a little off, and that's okay. Now, if you're working along with me, I would suggest with your glue that you have, I use flour sack towels. You can do any kind of a rag, but I like to have that for wiping off any excess glue. I also am going to walk over here because I forgot to grab my corner chomper, which you will need. I'm using the We Are Memory Keepers. You can use any rounder that you would like. I use the 1/2 inch side of the Crocodile. I'm also going to use this large We Are Memory Keepers. I'm not sure if they call this a bone folder. Honestly, I don't know. I think it's actually meant for something else, but I use it to smooth out my papers. So we're going to start with the front piece, which is our calendar. And I'm just going to grab my November calendar up here. Excuse my big head in the camera. So I'm going to start with the actual calendar piece on my front. Just add the glue to that. And I'm getting a little crazy with my glue. And then I like to open mine just so that I don't, so I can see that score line really well, and so that the glue does not seep out anywhere. I'm just going to line that up so I have about 1/8 of an inch of that Burgundy Artisan around the outside showing. And just burnish that down really nicely with my towel, nice and softly. And then we're going to flip it over, and we're going to do this piece here. Which is going, in my case, to be this. And again, This measures at 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. And this one, you want to leave about 1/8 or more of an inch of space on the score line on the inside here. And it doesn't really matter what kind of space you leave on this side because this will be closed over it. So when I cut these, I did discover that I could have probably cut them a little wider. So if that bothers you, you can cut them wider. It will not show, as you can see, underneath of there. So it doesn't really matter. And if you want to save paper, you can even cut it shorter and only have it to where this meets. So that is that piece. Now I'm going to take these little pieces of paper, and all these are is scraps of the artisan cardstock that measure 1 inch by 1 7/8 of an inch. They're scored at 1/2 inch down the middle. And this is what's going to make our gussets that make our pocket a little bit easier to open and add things to. We just want to burnish these down really well. And then we're going to add glue. Now you want to make sure that the opening, so your mountain fold faces up, the outward, and then this, your valley fold, needs to be on the inside. So you want to make sure that when you glue this, you glue it with the opening on the inside of your pocket. And I will show you as soon as I set this down. And also when you place this down, make sure it goes as close to the edge without overlapping and closer to the top than the bottom. We don't want it right next to that score line. And you definitely don't want it to overlap that score line. I'm just going to wipe off any excess glue here and show you what I mean. So this should be open this direction. And we're going to do the same thing with the bottom one. And I got a little crazy with the glue on that one. Did not need that much. And I like to give these just a teeny bit of drying time before I go in and burnish them down a little better and attach them. And the reason I do that is because if you're using a liquid adhesive, which you could use score tape if you choose, but if you're using a liquid adhesive and you move these too soon, they will slide on the paper and then they're not lined up anymore. And you can imagine that can wreak havoc on your projects. So I'm just going to hold these with my fingers. And I'm going to start with the top one. I'm just going to push that down, and I'm going to re-burnish this line gently with this. I'm not going to use a scoring tool just yet. I'm just using my towel. So next we're going to put our tip in. And that is the little piece that measures 3 3/4 by 4 1/4. We're going to put this on the scoreboard so that it lines up with the 3 3/4, and we're going to score it at 1/2 inch. And then we're going to fold that just like so. Give it a nice burnish. And then we're going to add 1/2 inch score tape to that. I use score tape for the tip outs. Just because I want it to adhere immediately. I don't want to wait for it to dry. And I just like score tape for these better. So you just run your score tape down the middle, being sure you don't go over the outside edge there or over that score line. See, there's no tape here. We have all this excess room. So we're going to burnish down our score tape. I'm going to set this aside for a moment. And then we're going to go into the folder for November that I have here, or excuse me, the envelope. And I'm going to pull out all of my little pieces that I fussy cut. And I'm going to grab that card. And as you can see, this one says, there is always something for which to be thankful. I just love these little cards. This is a genius idea for this paper collection, for calendar collection, because they're all cohesive and they all work together, and I just love it. So we're going to place this on the front. So you have your score tape here. We want this to face front. So we want to put this on here. And I did mine thicker on the outside. It's about 1/4 of an inch all the way around this card because I wanted it to look more like a picture frame and have a little bit of excess space on the back for adding a picture in the future. So I'm just going to go around and burnish all of my outer edges. Make sure I have no glue seeping anywhere. And then we're going to flip this over and we're going to choose one of the 3 tickets. Now, obviously, I wouldn't choose this one because it's the same color as my paper. So we're going to grab this Admit 1 and we are going to glue that to the inside bottom portion of our tip out. Line that up as straight as you can. Yeah, so this will be our inside, and again, I will show you on the January one. This is our outside, and this is our inside of this piece. So you will have that little ticket right there at the bottom. So now we're going to adhere this to our base, and the way that I've done this to make sure it lines up is take your folio, place it up here with the top corner where that's going to adhere. As you can see, the November, right up at the corner of your scoreboard. Remove that backing of the score tape. This is also another reason why I like to use the score tape. And then we're just going to line this up in that corner and press it down. And then you can bring this in and burnish this down even better. And there's something on my bone folder. And I also, with these, like to close them and burnish the outside as well, so that that little folder, it's going to flip a little. And if you wanted to, you could add a magnet to this if you don't like that it flips, or you could add something for a closure, or some ribbon or something. I didn't mind that it flipped open, so I did not do that. So next we're going to grab our other liner. Again, measuring 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. And I'm going to put my glue on there. And I will tell you, if you're making this project, prepare yourself. Have a lot of glue because there's a lot of gluing done with this. I have actually gone through almost an entire, 4-ounce bottle of glue. So just be prepared that you may have to have extra glue. All right, so I'm just going to push that down. And sometimes our edges will lift, and that is my reasoning for this little tool here, is I like to lightly press that across my papers. And as you can see, that glue gets pulled to the corners, and it makes it lay down flatter. So I like to use that. So in our little my little stash here from my envelope, I have all these pieces. So I have, with every month, there's 3 little circles. So I'm going to lay those out so I can see what I have. There's a piece shaped like this, one like this, and they do differ a little. We have our little card here, a couple little tags, and 3 strips that are borders. Then we have our little tickets that are left. So for this portion, I am going to show you how I did these up here. Now, some of these do differ. So some of my flowers go sideways, and that's okay. It's just a matter, do you like them better this way? Do you like them better this way? I like mine for this one facing up. So I'm just going to grab glue just to the top of this because we're going to put a journaling card underneath of here, and we want to make sure that we have that little tuck spot. So I'm just going to center this as good as I can on the paper. And I don't want that glue to seep down because this is going to become a tuck spot. So we just want that glue on the top. So I'm going to push it outward rather than down because I don't want the glue to get into the spot where my paper is going to tuck in there. And we're going to let that dry before we do anything else with it. For this side, we are going to add a border. So we just want to pick either the border that is the long skinny one like I've used in some, which I am not as fond of that one as I am this one. You also want to look at what you've cut for your outside piece, because you will need a border piece that looks good with this as well. And that's probably where we will use this one, possibly not. Actually, I think we'll use the red. So this is going to end up being our belly band. So I'm going to use this rose pattern that is absolutely gorgeous, this border. I had a hard time when I was doing these trying to decide which color scheme was my favorite. And it's a toss-up between when you see March and August. Oh, they're both gorgeous. I mean, they're all gorgeous, but I also love this Thanksgiving with the jade and the burgundy. It's just beautiful. So we're going to place that border strip. If you're using one of the cutaways, there will be a little space at the top and a little space at the bottom. Just try to center that on there as good as you can. And then we're going to grab our little turkey guy. Another cut apart. Fussy cut in my case. And we're going to plop him on there with about 1/2 inch of room underneath of him. And just burnish him down onto that border strip. And then we want to decide what goes on the front. So I think I'm going to do the turkeys and the little boy on the, or the turkeys on the inside and the little boy and the roses on the front. So we're going to take this little circle. And there are a couple that I didn't do a circle at all. And in fact, I'm not going to with this one. I like this just the way it is. So we're going to leave that one alone. So now we're going to set this aside. And we are going to make our 2 photo mounts. Take your burgundy artisan cardstock. This will be our left photo mount. And this measures 4 by 5.5. And I'm going to take my corner chomper and I'm going to go around and I'm going to chomp all of those corners. And again, I'm using the Crop-A-Dile from We Are Memory Keepers at 1/2 inch. There are tons of different rounders on the market, so you can use pretty much anything you want. Then I'm going to take my little fussy cut image. I'm going to glue him up on the back. And try to be a little sparing with your glue or move it around with your fingers on this piece, because we don't want a whole lot of seepage to come out onto this paper. So I want to make sure that I'm covering all my little intricate cut parts, but I don't want so much glue that it makes a big mess. So we're just going to place him down, and you can put him on either side. There are a couple that the image just worked better on this side, which I have done, but for this one, he works here. Make sure you burnish that fussy cut piece down really, really well. And as you can see, when we bring our folio back in, this will go right here. And like I said, if you want, you can add a closure to this, but once the whole book is closed, I just didn't see a need for that. But if you are more particular about that, there's also, you can take your bone folder a few times and really burnish that edge down, and it'll start to lay a little flatter. When it's all new, it takes a little more time. So now we're going to do the other photo mount. Again, that's artisan cardstock that measures 4.5. by 6. And then I used a jade 4 3/8 by 5 7/8. And I'm going to adhere these together. I will tell you too that the artisan cardstock that I am using is from my stash, and it's the older version. Tamara recently posted that the artisan cardstock is being milled differently, so it is a little bit darker, but it would work just as well. And then I am going to use the border that came on the top. So I basically just want to go in and cut this at the same width as the green, the jade paper. So the matte, which again is, sorry, I have a glue bubble stuck to me. 4 3/8. So I'm going to cut this border strip down to 4 3/8. I'm going to put it on my scoreboard. So I don't have to bring a cutter over here. And then I can just clip it with my scissors. And then we're just going to add some glue to the back of that strip. This would be a fun gift to give somebody that just really likes to memory keep, because there's memories all the time, obviously, with holidays, but you can, you know, log a memory a month with this, and even more. You could fit pictures in there, or maybe you went to a concert or something in that month, and it's just a really fun way to log memories, and I like this. I will probably personally use this myself. So next I have the little cutaways that we will add our little paper clip. Sorry, I had to go off camera for a moment. With the little leftovers, we're going to take these. Now I'm going to use the green on the front. So I'm going to put this little ticket that's left over and the little turkeys that I'm not going to use. And I'm just going to bind all that together with this cute little paper clip. And that will slide right into this pocket here. I mean, just look at all the coordinating colors. I love the way this looks. So then we're going to close that up, and we're going to put the rest of this strip minus what's left over, which is about, I'm just going to mark that. And I'm going to put my glue. This is just a little trick I've learned from other crafters. I'm going to add my glue to my strip. Place it down there on the back side of our folio. Clean up the excess glue. And as you can see, I didn't glue it all the way to the top. I only glued up to where that line was. And so now I am just going to go in with my scissors and very carefully cut off that excess piece. And then I will go back and just burnish that top down in case the scissors lifted it a bit. And there we have our November folio. So next we're going to take, like I said, I kept all of my leftover papers and all of the different scraps and such. That 2 1/4. So 2 1/4 by 3 5/8 will fit these perfectly with just a little bit of space around the outsides. And this is just another little card. If people have those little instant cameras that print the cute little pictures, these little folios would be great with those. You can use these little tags and cards that are on the inserts to just put the little pictures on the back, or a little journaling, put the picture on the front, use the little paper clips. There's just lots of different ways that you can use this. I'm going to trim this down just a little bit more. So I cut it on the score line. And then this piece here just like I said, slips in. And also because it's backed with that artisan cardstock will help hold this. So that is November. All we have left to do is our belly band. And we are going to take this 2-inch by 12-inch strip that was cut, and we're going to lay it across here right underneath that line where the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, the days of the week is. And then you just want to kind of hold it with your thumb and pick it up and wrap that belly band around so that we can see where it goes. Pull it out so you have it, and you'll have this piece that looks like this. And then we're just going to go in and add some glue to the inside, and you can use score tape for this as well. I like to use glue because it gives me a little bit of open time, just in case my measurement when I put it on was not completely correct, and I need to add a little bit more room or a little less room so that the belly band fits. So you want to make sure that it does fit. And you want it to have a little play in it, but not a lot. I mean, I want it to be snug, but I also want to be able to get it on there. So once I have it glued, I'm just going to kind of slip it over to make sure that it's going to slide down. And you see we have an awful lot of play there in this one. So I don't know if you could see that on camera. So I'm just going to peel that up. Like I said, I have open time because I didn't use score tape, and I'm just going to pull a little bit on it, and then I'm going to push it back down, and it's okay because we're going to add glue later. Now I should be able to put this on here a little easier, and it'll be a little snugger. So I'm going to re-glue this. All right, make sure there's no excess glue floating around because we don't want it to stick together. And then we can add our border strip. So you want to cut this to fit. Now, most of the belly bands are going to be the same, obviously, and they measure about 5 1/8 by that 2-inch. So if you want to use a scoring tool or something to get that exact 5 1/8 rather than wrapping it around and doing it, you can do that as well. So I am just going to glue this down, or set this down on here, and mark with my scoring tool where I need to clip this little border strip. And I'm going to trim the end of this. It's a little crooked because I did fussy cut these. And add our glue to the back. Get that as close to in the middle as you possibly can get it. And you will notice it'll lift a little at the bottom, but we're going to take the belly band in our hand like so, and we're just going to kind of force that to wrap around while the glue is still wet. You want to make sure you do this. And it's just going to give that belly band edge a little bit better movement. See, now you can see it's like a cone shape. And then we just want to lay our pieces down and add them. So I'm going to figure out where these are going to position. This works the best for me. So I'm going to do it this way. I'm just going to take my little circle with the little boy on it. Add my glue. And place him down. And because this is a linen paper, it will slide, your glue will slide around on it a little bit. So just make sure that you hold your pieces down as you're burnishing the glue out. Otherwise, they will slide around a little bit. Go in and add my little rose piece. And then I flip them over, and as you can see, I got a little bit of glue on the edge of that, which I don't need. So I wiped that off. And then our little ticket. See, I'm getting low on glue. We're just going to put that down. We have that little collage of tickets there, ticket and embellishments. And there's our November belly band. And when you slide this on, it will look like so. All right, so let's run through December's really quick. And I'm just going to run through it pretty much silently so that you can see how I did it again. The measurements are, the cut guide is in the video, in the description below. Oh, I did also forget to mention that with some of the cardstock, so the My Colors cardstock, most of them have a more canvas, like texture on one side, and they're a little smoother on the other. When I use those, I like the smoother side to be the inside of my folio.